It's just a simple town.
Yeah.
Kind of live in our own little world, don't we? It's not a bad place to be, I'll tell you right now.
Fletcher is a town of about 1,300 people in northwestern Vermont. It's home to some dairy farms and maple sugaring operations, some pretty phenomenal views. And right now, it's one of 116 Vermont towns with no reported cases of COVID-19. But public health researchers have singled it out for another reason. It was one of just a handful of communities throughout the country that dodged the flu pandemic in 1918.
A lot of the old timers, they don't leave this town. There's a lot of them that do not leave this town. And that, I would guess, is why in 1918 you didn't have it here.
Locals have guessed that was because of the overall lack of migration. Some point out that Fletcher doesn't really get through traffic. It's barely touched by state roads.
Even back then, the only way that anybody who goes to Fletcher was going to Fletcher. It's not on the way to any place.
Researchers have another guess: luck.
In some respects, Fletcher was simply lucky, probably because they were so rural and so isolated.
This is Alex Navarro. In 2005, he and his team started researching what they called escape communities, places that almost entirely avoided the 1918 flu. They found that just being rural didn't protect a town from getting infected.
You know, these pandemics don't always strike evenly across any nation. You know, they're going to hit the urban centers first because that's where populations congregate. But being a rural town or county is not a guarantee that you're not going to get hit by the epidemic as well.
In 1918, Vermont took some familiar steps. The governor called for quarantines and banned mass gatherings. The state ended up with more than 40,000 flu cases. But Fletcher registered just 2. Why?
They lucked out. Fletcher didn't do anything other than what the state required them to do, these public gathering bans. Fletcher had a wedding for a soldier who was visiting from Camp Devens that was incredibly hard hit in the midst of their epidemic. The town of, 730 odd people, they were lucky that they didn't all contract influenza.
So maybe Fletcher just got lucky, and maybe that's happening again. But Alex said his overall study still holds lessons about lifting restrictions during COVID-19.
When they removed their non-pharmaceutical interventions, in about half the cities we studied, they had a second spike of cases. And in some instances, that second spike was actually worse than the first spike. And I think that's what we're potentially facing is these two competing definitions of an epidemic. The public health officers saying people are going to continue to die and in increasing numbers. And then this other group that is vocal, maybe small for now, vocal, but probably growing, that's saying we need to get back to life as normal. And it doesn't really matter. The epidemic's going to play out. 1918, we survived that. So let's just move forward. We did survive 1918, but 650 to 675,000 Americans died when the population of the U.S. was about a third of what it is today. I think we need to be careful about what lessons we draw out of 1918.